The comparison between the admissions processes at the places that I was prior to MIT and MIT, there's really no comparison.
The reading process takes, probably 8 weeks, and then the meeting process takes another 6. So we sit in rooms, as I said, in rooms like this, in committees, for 12, 14 hours a day, 6 days a week, and go through every candidate. And we talk about them. We read evaluations out loud, we read essays out loud, we read teacher recommendations out loud. Everything is projected on these screens so people sitting in the room can see them. And we talk about every candidate until we're happy that we know enough to make a decision. And so every candidate is given a decision in these committees.
It's part of the mythology of the college process that you have to be, you have to have 10,000 extracurricular activities. We do assign an academic rating and a personal rating, but most of our decision making is a function of prose and conversation. But if you have somebody who's a very high-powered academician, that will be, as you're going through the conversation, that rating will draw your attention to that part of the application. In the early days of my admissions career, I can remember people throwing files across the room and storming out of the committee room and not coming back for 3 days because somebody didn't get in. So it gets very emotional. Sometimes it has all the dynamics of a nursery school recess.
I would say that given the family backgrounds of our students, and to some degree the investment that families are making in a student's education, there is an expectation that they're going to go to a school of a particular kind of selectivity level, that's going to offer a particular kind of experience. And that being said, our students still do choose the places that I think ultimately are best for them.
Not many kids really applied to prestigious schools from my school. Relatively low amounts. So specifically, it wasn't necessarily programs that were put in place to get kids into top schools, but rather just to get kids in college in general.
I went to a college prep, a specifically college prep public charter school. And so it specifically is to get you into a college. And so they make sure you have your A through G requirements before you graduate. Not like my friends. I know for sure they did not get those workshops at all. They had to get the help by themselves. They would ask me, and then I'd have to ask my counselor, okay, what does this mean again? And then it was just more of them trying to get the information themselves, Googling it. For example, FAFSA, they thought they had to pay for it, and you don't have to pay for it. They didn't understand about the fee waivers that you get as a first-generation low-income student. And so it was a lot of me handing out the information and them trying to figure it out.
If an institution, chose to fill its classrooms entirely with students who came from prep schools, that would be a disservice, to the students at that institution, because they're losing out on a different perspective, that they would simply not get in their classrooms. This is one of the areas in which I think, the Ivy League, has an advantage. The Ivy League schools have deeper pockets. They have much more significant endowments, and are in a position to be able to provide the educational opportunity regardless of the family's financial circumstances.
That state school package was over double what I would have been paying for Brown. My parents would not have been able to provide for me to go to that school, whereas at Brown, their very generous financial aid system were able to provide me the opportunity to be able to come to this type of school, but also be able to do it in a cost-effective nature.
I disagree with him that students today are simply mindless sheep focused on outcomes. I don't see it here. I don't see it at Brown. I haven't seen it. I've worked now in 3 places. I've worked at Harvard, I worked at Bowdoin, I've worked at Brown.
There definitely is within the contemporary culture an element that takes success for its own sake as having intrinsic value. And I don't believe that. I believe success is only meaningful when it's backed up by the things that matter. How do you take care of the people around you? And okay, so you're super smart, great, so what? If you're not adding to the world and using that intellect to further our common cause as humanity, then it's not worth much.